So I'm going to make a series of tutorials on the 2000 Excel. Let's start with chopping samples. I already have a sample laid out. This is a piano sample. So we're going to chop it up. I'm going to take you through some of the methods of cutting the sample here. There aren't many. So let's go. Let's see what the Excel can do. Different windows. If you see, you got the trim window, the loop window, a zone, parameters as well in there. You got some edit. And this is very similar with the new MPCs in case you own one. First of all, the trim section is where you can chop your sample manually. Now you can go through the start point and the end point like that with your data wheel, or you can press on the shift and go really fast like that. So you can do it that way. The way I like to do it is to go shift and then just press on the arrow here to the side. So this way you can chop with the speed that you want, right? Because this can be just too much. I kind of always prefer to do it like this. Then after this, it's all about just adjusting the start and end point and coming up with a section, right? So like that's one of the chops that you would do. Then you would edit and take it to the section, new sound, press do it. That's the name for the sound, for the new sound. So you can name it right here. The way you name samples, it's by turning the data wheel or by pressing on the pads that contain the letters of the alphabet. So once you do that, you press enter, you have the new name. I don't care, I'm just going to keep that. Press do it. So now you have a separate sample on the side. So it doesn't take too long. It's not as slow as people might think, and you can run through the whole sample like that. Now I'm not going to run through the whole sample, but I am going to take another cut. So I'm just going to scroll the end right there. I'm just going to adjust the start point. Obviously, if you want to zoom in, you can. You have open window. So once you press that, if you're on the start or the end window, you press window and then you have a zoom in. Now you can adjust right where that peak starts. Close the open window. Right, just take that to the end right there. If you want, open the window. So if you want, you can adjust it right there with the zoom. And we have the chop right there. It's done. You can edit. Same thing, section, new sound. And now we have two samples, right? And then we can assign this to a pad. I'm going to show you how to do that. But we can also use another method, and that's using the zone. And there you can chop a sample with different zones. So once we get here, you notice that I have now just a chop selected right there at the beginning. And we can scroll it if you want. But that's going to affect zone number 2. So once you get into the zone, normally you have 16 zones pre-selected for that sample that you have. You can choose the amount of zones that you want. So then if you press on that open window, so open window, you can use it almost anywhere on the MPC. It will give you another window that you can go to and edit. So you have the zone. You say that you want the amount of chops that you want for that sample. It depends really on the sample you have. Normally it comes with 16. Now I'm going to leave at 16. I really don't know, but you have to be careful because if you change the amount of zones, it will then change all the start and end points. So you can't be chopping away with 16s, and if you want to add a 17 zone, you can't add a 17 zone without actually destroying the start and end points that you did to all the other chops that you were doing. So you have to know from the beginning before you start chopping the amount of zones that you want. okay, this is it. It's pretty cool if you have a drum loop. I wouldn't necessarily do it on this, you know, but you can do, I mean, if you have a sample that you know already how many chops you're going to need from that sample, this is a cool way of doing it. So if you notice, once you hit the pad, it plays the entire sample. What you can do is that you can choose to play just the zone by going there at the top and choosing zone, okay, but you have to use the play X. So that's the play X right there, playing the zone. Okay, so you know what the chop is from start to end. And then you can scroll through the chops right there. Okay. Now, what you do, like if you have a drum sample, I don't have one right here, but imagine you do have a sample that you've chopped into 16 bits. You can then export this into a new program. You go into edit, and then you say slice the sound, create a new program or not. So you can just chop the sample without creating a program, or you can create a program. So say yes and do it. Takes a little bit for it to chop the sample. Okay, so now we have all the chops right there. So now if you go into the main screen, so that's sound 1 right there, that's the program we created. So we have our chops all right there. So that's another way of cutting the sample. Back into the trim area. You can rename your sample right here. So if you have that section highlighted, just open the window, rename it. You can delete it. You can convert it as well from stereo to mono. You can resample it as well, but this resample method takes a long time. So you can change this to a very low sample rate, change the bits as well into 8 or 12, rename the sound, say that the quality you want it's high or low, and then you press do it, and that will give you a different sound. But this takes a long time to process. I'm not going to do it now because we can stay here for 10 minutes or something like that. It just takes a really long time. Okay, so I'm not going to do it. So close that window, and we have the loop section. If you turn the loop on, this sample will loop. And so this is sound number 10. If you go into the program area where sound number 10 is, you notice that it's always looping. So it might be cool for some functions. If you go into the parameters, so once you're in parameters, you can turn the decay down a little bit, and that will fade the sound. And it's a good way to extend the sample. Okay, now back to the trim window. You got your parameters right here. This shows up in case you have that loop function turned on. If you turn it off and then go into the parameters, there's none of that. One of the good things about this window right here is that you have the level function. Now the MPC doesn't have a normalize function, but you can increase the level right there. So this is pretty helpful. So obviously you can tune it right here, but you also have a tuning function in the parameters right there. So if you want to, so yeah, you have a time stretch. If you want to stretch your samples, you can do so. It takes a little bit of time as well. Same thing as the resample. I'm not going to do it because we can stay here a long time. So, but you have some algorithms that you can choose from. So if you really want to use it, yeah, go ahead and use it. I would rather sample this into my Akai Force and just use the warp function right there and then sample it back in. You know, it's a time stretch. It will stretch your audio. It's nothing super advanced or anything. So time stretch, reverse section, and that's pretty much it. So there's not much here inside of the chopping area. within the 2000 Excel. And that's it. That's pretty much how you cut samples here on the MPC. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you something, how to assign a sample. So when I created my first chop, like this one for example, now I have to assign it to a program. So what you can do here is going into the program, okay, go into the program that you want. So here is the sound one, which is the program that has all those 16 chops that we created. Okay, if you want, you can use this by going to bank B and putting it there, right there, where it says sound. There you go, sound 2. Or you can go into a new program and drop it onto a new pad. Select the pad and just assign it like that. Just go to that section and drop the sample. Okay, put it anywhere you want. I'll get to the program window in another video. So for now, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.